गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. Okay. So today we shall do little Sugama. Okay. We were discussing the Purvapakshi said when Jignasa is taught, Jignasa, Athato Brahma Jignasa, seeking to know something, then the very seeking involves two, the seeker and the sought. Jignasu and Gneya, one who is seeking and what is sought. So, how can you say that the Brahma Sutra, which is talking about Brahma Jignasa in the first sutra, is teaching unity of Atman, or in other words, discovery of Brahman as Atman. That means there is no difference between seeker and the sought. What is sought is the very seeker, but that doesn't. But that's not right, Purvapakshi says. To that Siddhanti answered, Upanishad has been clearly telling that Atma is Brahman, or the Brahman has to be seen as identical to oneself, not as something which I am going to see. So, tathapi etad yathatmya pratibodhat. Atma sadvitiya. So, yadyapi atmaiva brahma, brahmaiva atma. Upanishad is teaching Brahman is Atman, Atman is Brahman. So, the Brahman means the Absolute. The Absolute, the very name Absolute means it includes me, it can't exclude me, it can't be away from me. And anything that is other than from me cannot be Absolute. See, the very name. Anything other than me can be lost, because I can throw it out of my sight. I can exist without it, because what is other than me, I can remove it, I can distance myself from it, I can forget it. What can be forgotten can't be eternal, can't be absolute. What can be forgotten, what can be pushed away from me can't be eternal and therefore can't be absolute. What I cannot get rid of, what I cannot distance from, alone can be eternal. That alone can be absolute. Therefore, the absolute cannot be away from Atma. Atma cannot be away from absolute, both way. Atma cannot be other than absolute. Absolute cannot be other than Atma. So that is the point. So therefore, tathapi etad yathatmya apratibodhat. Then why, if Atma is Brahman, then if the seeker is what is sought, then why should then the sought is already achieved, already known, because that is identical to myself. How can Upanishad or how can Brahma Sutras teach it? So this answer is yad tathapi etad yathatmya aprabodha. Although the Atma is absolute, Atma means my consciousness, myself is absolute, yet I feel that I am not absolute. See, being absolute is different from a notion of not being absolute. It is a notion of not being absolute, a notion of being limited. So there is when I think that I am limited, then the absoluteness looks something outside me, away from me. When I have a notion that I am limited, my absoluteness looks as something away from me, something other than me. So this, because of this thinking, it is only a notion that is denying me my absoluteness. It is the notion that is denying me my absoluteness, not my reality of being absolute. That I am absolute, nobody can change it. nobody can deny it. My being absolute, nobody can deny. It is a false notion, is interfering, not denying actually, because the absoluteness is my real nature. Nobody can deny. Nobody can take away. Deny in the sense nobody can take away. So nothing can take away my nature, which is absolute by its very nature. So only there is something that is interfering, is a wrong notion contrary to the reality. A notion contrary to the reality is interfering in it. So because of this interfering, I feel as if I am missing. I am not really missing, not. My absoluteness is not really missing. But in my feeling, in my thought, I feel as if I am missing. Because the missing of my being absolute. A missing is only a notional, not a real. That I am not absolute is only a notion, but not reality. So the notion which is contrary, which is against the reality, needs to be corrected. How? First you note it. First, are you convinced that it is a wrong notion, that it needs to be corrected? Yes, it is a wrong notion. It needs to be corrected. But how can you correct? By only verifying the reality. How do you verify? Pay attention. Pay attention to the notion. How the notion itself proves to be not a real. It is only a notion. The notion is not true to the fact. Fact is one way, and the notion is contrary to the fact. Because the very nature of the notion shows that it is not true to the fact. See, if a notion which is true to the fact, you take it. This is how Shankaracharya defines what is reality. A notion about something. We have a notion about something. That notion, by repeated verification, by repeatedly checking it from different angles, the notion remains the same thing. Then it is a reality. Then the notion is a real notion. That means a real understanding about the fact. But if the notion looks to be not tallying, not matching with the reality, if the notion is not matching with the reality, seems to be somewhat different, okay, then you suspect that this notion is not representing the truth. It is not true to the fact. It is somewhat different. Okay? It is somewhat different. So this is the way we verify. This is the way we verify, we check, and we come to understand, oh, this is thou. So this is what Vedanta Vichara is. The absolute is your Anubhava. And you have a notion about yourself is also your Anubhava. But between them, what is the true Anubhava? So if you have the absolute Anubhava, the wrong notion can be verified. To verify, you need Anubhava. Without Anubhava, you can't verify. This is Vedanta. But if in the Prakriya of Vyakyanakaras, they say the Brahman is outside your Anubhava. If Brahman is outside your Anubhava, how do you come to know the notion that we have about myself? How can you verify it? How can you check it? Because any notion is only just a belief alone. Now if Upanishad says that you are Brahman, maybe because Upanishad says I have to believe. Because you have no way of verifying. And they say that absolute is not your Anubhava, it has to come. No, absolute is yourself. Absolute is an existing fact, undeniable fact. So it is the notion that is interfering, coming in the way of discovering yourself, what you really are. So the notion is coming in the way, therefore it is your Anubhava. Take that your direct Anubhava, in the light of which you are able to see waking state, dream state and all states. You are able to know your states in the light of that absolute. Absolute is a light. Absolute is yourself. You are the light. So in the light of yourself, you are able to see all your notions about yourself, all your thoughts about yourself, all your notions about yourself, you are able to see in the light of yourself, because you are the light. The whole world you see means what? You have only notion. You have only thought of the world. World is a thought. Your individuality is a thought. Your body is a thought. Your mind is a thought. Your experiences are thought. Sense organs are thoughts. And the experiences you gain through your sense organs are a notion. All this notion is only trying to present that this is what you are. But your real you is absolute. So in the light of your awareness, in the light of your light means awareness. So that is the only standard. That is the only basis against which you verify these notions. All the notions, notion of world, notion of individuality, notion of body, notion of jiva, everything can be verified only with the absolute, that is yourself. Because absolute cannot be, that we have already told. Again we say that absolute can't be away from me. If absolute keeps me away, excludes me, it becomes deficient, it can't be absolute. Because absolute excludes me, then it is outside me. I can dismiss it, I can forget it, I can throw away. That means what is other than me, what is outside me, what I can forget can't be absolute. It is also small and limited. Therefore absolute cannot exclude me. And Atma also cannot be non-absolute. Atma also cannot be non-absolute. Because Atma means oneself. Oneself is all-pervasive. All-pervasive means you are all the time with you. You are all the time yourself. You can never go away from yourself. Therefore you are all time, all space, all conditions, all experience. Because it is Atma is underlying everything. All your experiences, entire world, people, everything. In all your experience, Atma is underlying. There is no experience of you where your Atma is missing in your experiences. You cannot have an experience where you are absent in those experiences. That is meaningless. Therefore, Atma is underlying all your experiences. That means it is vaster than your experiences. Experiences come and go. All the experiences come and go. What neither comes nor goes, what neither begins nor ends is yourself. That means you alone pervade all your experiences. That means you are the absolute. Atma alone can be absolute. Absolute can only be Atma. Atma alone can be absolute. Absolute can only be Atma. This is the point. By your self-observation, means self-enquiry. By your self-enquiry, by observing all your experiences, this is what you come to understand, isn't it? Therefore, Sugama is an amazing book, as I already told you repeatedly. Each sentence is amazing. And Swamiji is not ordinary. He is Swayam Brahma. Swamiji is directly Brahman speaking. That's all. If Brahman has a voice, it speaks. And that is Swamiji. Satchidananda Swamiji is directly Brahma Swarupam that is speaking. Then what else can it speak? If sun rises, what else can he emanate? Sun is light. He appears as a light. He gives light. Sun is light. He appears as a light. He emanates light. And when he reaches you, you see only light. It can't be anything other than light. Therefore, Swamiji is Brahman. Therefore, he talks of Brahman. And each sentence touches your heart and makes you see that you are Brahman. Swamiji is Brahman only because he makes you see that you are Brahman. Otherwise, what else? The light of the sun can't do anything other than the job of light. What can the light do? Light only illumines. Therefore, light can't do anything other than illuminating. Light can't do anything because that is its very nature. Illumination, lighting up is its very nature. and it can't do anything else. And lighting cannot stop also. Tentatively it won't stop. Therefore, your very existence itself proves see the nature of your existence. Is your existence suffering from any deficiency, any limitation? Limitation means what? It is missing. You will never miss Atma. Atma can never go away from you. It never misses. It is in all time. Therefore, time is meaningless. Time is meaningless in your existence. Because your existence is not bound by a time, a particular period of time. Time appears in your existence. That is in your consciousness. Time appears in your existence and time can be dismissed. You can stand timeless, as in deep sleep. In deep sleep, you stand timeless. Then in waking, you experience time, past, present, and future. But in deep sleep, not in deep sleep, that is a way of telling. You are the deep sleep. Not that you are present in deep sleep. You can't say like that. Because there are no two things, you and your deep sleep. Deep sleep is not a tentative situation in which you enter and then you come away. Deep sleep is not something you enter into, stay in a room for a while and come away. It's not coming and going. Because waking comes and goes in you. Waking arises in you and dissolves into you. And that you, when everything dissolves, everything is negated, what remains is yourself. So that is Sushupti. Sushupti is yourself after negating everything when you stand all alone. That is Sushupti. All by yourself. All alone, all by yourself. All means there is nothing other than you. Therefore, Sushupti is synonymous to yourself. Sushupti is synonymous to yourself. Sushupti is not a tentative state, a tentative condition. You enter into it, stay there for a while and give it up. If you can't lose Sushupti. Sushupti is non-dual because there is nothing. There is no object. There is no object, there is no subject-object duality. Duality means relation. You don't have any relational experience in deep sleep. Deep sleep is a non-relational experience. Why non-relational? When there is only one, there can't be relational. Relation requires two. That means there is one, it is looking at something other than it. The one itself is not limited. If one is limited, then the second thing can exist. Second thing can exist only when there is limited. But your existence is such that it doesn't allow anything other than you. See, your very existence includes anything. Anything you say, it can include, because without you existing, nothing exists. That means any other thing has to be included in you. Any other thing has to be included in my existence and my consciousness. Therefore, everything else is a meaningless term. Because everything else, who understands? Myself. Then it is already included in you. If anything else other than me is a thought out by me. Other than me is understood, is thought out by you. That means it is already part of your consciousness. Therefore, other than me, nobody can think. A light cannot see darkness. This is beautiful. Sun doesn't know what is night. Sun can never know what is night. Sun can never understand what is darkness. Some people were like you and I were talking somewhere. See, now sun is there, we have a light. Otherwise in the night there was no light. I couldn't see anything. But it was all dark. Sun was listening to these people's chatting. And he asked, wait a minute, you said sun is trying to ask you. You said something that there is a darkness and then all that, and you couldn't see anything. What is that? Let me know. Darkness, I have never heard of that word. Tell me, what is darkness? Darkness, is he a person? Or is he an object? Or is it a food item? Is it a name of a fruit? What is darkness? Or a tablet? What is it? Darkness, you don't know? What kind of person you are? Everybody knows on the earth what is darkness and you don't know? This boy got irritated. He told, hey, you are trying to test us. You are teasing me. Who doesn't know what is darkness? Everybody knows darkness, and you don't know. Son says, come on, sorry sir, I really don't know what is darkness. Please don't get irritated with me. I'm not testing you. I'm not teasing you. I'm really sincerely asking my doubt, my question. Sincerely, I want to understand. Tell me what is darkness. And he says, I don't know how to tell what is darkness. Or at least you take me there and show you. Are you taking me? Taking you with me? If you are with me, that's gone. Impossible to show you darkness. What is that? When you can see darkness, why can't I see? That is the problem. What can I do? He says, son is asking, when you can see the darkness, you being such a small boy can see the darkness. You say, I'm such a big son. Huh? And you don't need a torchlight also, as long as I am with you. You don't need a torchlight also. Huh? Then come on, take me with you and show me what is darkness. The boy says, you are putting me in a fix. You are making my situation very difficult to answer. Another boy, little intelligent, he told, when there is no sun, that is called darkness. Then what is day? When there is a sun, that is day. When there is no sun, sun sets, that is the setting. Sun setting, I am setting. Setting means what? What happens to me? You disappear. Me disappearing? That can never happen. You won't understand. Somebody told it is true. You will never understand your disappearance. That's what we are telling. Atma can never understand its own disappearance. Atma, what disappears is not Atma. That's the thing. The mistake is you cannot understand the Atma as absolute. That's because, see, why you are unable to understand Atma is absolute. If Atma is absolute, why don't I experience Atma as an absolute? Who told you that you are not experiencing? Yes, I say I am not absolute. Oh, because I disappear in deep sleep. That's ridiculous. How? What disappears is not you. Disappear means what? You can negate it. You can throw out. You can exist without it. If you can exist without something, that is not you. That is a mistake. If you can throw out, you can distance it. What you can distance from is not you. What you cannot negate from you, that is you. Oh yes, correct. This correct. I am not giving you any new revelation. This is what you are. I am only pointing out. I am not giving you any new revelation. I can't tell you anything which you don't know. I cannot give you what you already are not. I cannot tell you what you don't know. If you don't know, what can I tell you? If you know already what is there to tell you, I can only point out. I can only turn your attention because your mind is paying attention to something else. What is that something else? That again is imagined. There is no something else. Nothing is something else other than you. Nothing is other, because other is also within you alone. Then what is this other? Where does it come from? Where does this Dvaitam come from? It is wild imagination. It is also yourself, but you think that it is something other than you. That notion alone needs to be corrected. Everything is absolute Atma. Everything is yourself. Yet you think that there is something other than me, and that other than me is preventing me to know my real nature. First you think there is something other than me, and that other than me is coming in the way of knowing myself. Both are wrong, because there can be nothing other than you. Itself is a false imagination, imagined by yourself. You think that there is something other than you, that other is only yourself only. The other is yourself, but yourself, a part of you, you are putting as an others. It is something like taking my hand as somebody's hand. This is my hand. I suppose by mistake I took that this is somebody's hand. What is this coming here? No, I don't want this. Put it elsewhere. You throw it somewhere. After some time it comes back to you. When you are conscious, you throw away the hand. But again you are busy with something, it comes and sits on your lap. You're wondering, what is this is coming again and again? Each time I throw it is coming again to you. Then you get angry and try to beat it. Oh, you start feeling the pain. You beat again, you start feeling the pain. Then you go and ask somebody, what is this? This is somebody else is following me, Swamiji. This somebody else is unnecessarily following me. And I tell them, I throw away, again comes. I throw away, again comes. Then I getting angry, I start beating it. I start feeling the pain. That's because it is not somebody else, it is yourself. That's why you can't throw away. You can't get rid of. You can't beat it. If you beat, you'll feel the pain. That shows that you are beating yourself. It's not somebody else. The world is somebody else, Jiva is somebody else is only a wrong notion. Correct it. Discover that even that is me. Everything is me. Nothing is other than me. Nothing is separate from me. Nothing goes away from me. Therefore, Absolute is Atma. So for sake of Viveka, we talk of like that. While doing Viveka at the sadhana level, at the Ajnani level, while doing Viveka, we say, what disappears is not you. What doesn't disappear alone is you. Take that which doesn't disappear. Look at that. Stay with that. Now tell me what is you. You are everything. Therefore, you are naturally yourself. You are naturally yourself. Neither you need to gain it, acquire it, nor you can get rid of it, nor you can lose it. Neither you can acquire yourself, nor you can lose it. Aheyam anupadeyam. Shankara's expressions are so beautiful. Aheyam anupadeyam. Naheyam you can't get rid of. You can't lose it. It can't disappear from you, go away from you. Nor you can gain it because it is already me. Where is the question of gain? Therefore, you think that you are limited, you are not absolute. Why? Because of a wrong notion. I am not absolute. Why? Because I am going away, I am limited. Limited means what? You end at one point. You end at one point. That means there is something ending. But here, ending means what? Where does it end? End means it goes away from you. Body goes away from you. If you think body is yourself, when body goes away, you think I am missing, I am ending, I am coming to an end. You think sense organs are yourself. When the sense organs go away, you think that I am coming to an end. Mind is yourself. You think wrongly, mind is yourself. When mind goes away, emotion changes, you feel that you are losing yourself. Then you think intellect is yourself. When the intellect disappears, goes away or changes, you think you have changed. You have lost yourself. You have become limited. All this is false. Because what disappears is not you. What goes away from you, what leaves you is not you. What cannot leave you, what remains all the time as itself, that is me. Therefore, that alone is absolute. That doesn't change, that doesn't go away from me. What doesn't leave me is myself. And it is always there. It is there. Its very nature is existence. Existence, you can never miss it. In fact, losing the existence is a meaningless word. Losing the existence is a meaningless word. Because it is not that you exist. Existence is you. Existence is synonymous to yourself. See, whether you say I or whether you say existence, it means the same. I is existence. Existence is me. I am existence. So therefore, this your existence is infinite, absolute. You can't get rid of. Nor you need to. It is underlying every experience, every period of time, every point of space. Every point in the space, entire space is within my existence. Entire time is within my existence, and the existence is beyond time also. Beyond time means what? Where do you go? Beyond time means what? How do you understand? Beyond time. I am trying to understand how to go beyond time. Where is it? It is not outside you. Beyond time is yourself. Oh, myself. But I am limited. That's where the thing. You are the one, you swallow your limitation and stand. You swallow the time and stand. Your very existence swallows the time. See, does the time swallow the existence, or existence swallows the time? Does the consciousness swallow the time, or time swallows the consciousness? If time swallows the consciousness, such a thing is meaningless. If time swallows the consciousness, even the time cannot exist. That means it cannot swallow. It cannot swallow. That's ridiculous. Time cannot swallow the consciousness or existence. Existence swallows the time. That means existence can exist without reference to time, without reference to space. It just is. Its very nature is existence. Therefore, the existence or the consciousness swallows the entire time, past, present and future. So the consciousness is timeless. The existence is timeless. It swallows everything. Why can't we say time swallows the consciousness? Means what? At one time there is consciousness. At another time, time continues to exist without consciousness. Have you ever experienced it like that? Time continues to exist without consciousness. Meaningless word. Meaningless word, because time doesn't swallow the consciousness. That means there can't be a time beyond the consciousness. Beyond the consciousness is a meaningless word. There is no beyond consciousness. Because consciousness were limited, then you could say beyond. There is nothing outside consciousness. There is nothing, no experience comes without consciousness. There can be no time without consciousness. There can be no space without consciousness. There can be no experience without consciousness. All the experiences are experiences of consciousness only. Therefore, consciousness is more pervasive. It swallows all the experiences, all the time, all the place, and itself stands changeless, nameless. It is neither changeless, locationless. It has no location. That means it is free from space. Free from change. That means it is timeless. Timeless means free from... timeless is... changeless means without time. Spaceless means without dimension. It has no dimension. All dimensions are experienced within consciousness. Consciousness itself has no dimension. Dimension means coming to an end. Nobody has experienced consciousness coming to an end. Because such a thing is meaningless. Consciousness doesn't come to an end. What comes to an end is not consciousness, is not Atma. What comes to an end, what you can distance, what you can throw away, what you can forget is not you. Simply because you have forgotten, you have left out. What you leave out is not you. What you cannot leave out is you, because that's you. You can't lose yourself, you can't miss yourself. So that is absolute you. Okay? Therefore, I think we have to go a little faster. If we give so much of time at each sentence, then we won't be... Only one chapter is there, just 2 pages. These 2 pages we are stuck. I hope in the Chaturmasya is coming to an end. And 29th, my Chaturmasya comes to an end. I hope I'll finish this Sugama at least by 29th. 29th, I don't know whether I will be able to have a class on 29th. I think every day I will have and finish Sugama. Okay? So do a little faster. So, tata, because these are all manana. Manana has no limit. The manana is a manana, you keep on contemplating, there the whole time, space, everything disappears. And you alone remain. Until you understand yourself as absolute, that is the only limit. Until then you have to do that, there is no way. How many days, how many classes, how many books, how many lines, how many pages, meaningless. All the pages, all the books, all the number of lines, all the number of times, how many classes, there is no limit. If you are thinking of classes, then you are thinking of time again. So, until you discover the timeless, you have to study. Keep on observing, then time becomes meaningless. World becomes meaningless. then all duality, all relationships are meaningless. Then only one thing non-existent, one thing non-dual, non-relational, then everything is okay. Okay, tathapi etad yathatmya apratibodat. Yet, though I am the absolute, I feel that for not knowing, when you say not knowing the absolute, there is a jignasa. There is a desire to know, there is a seeking for not knowing myself to be absolute. See, these people are unable to understand. Some people, not everybody. I am the absolute, yet I am seeking for not knowing the absolute. See, Swamiji, you say, I am the absolute, I am Brahman. Again you say, for not knowing Brahman, for not knowing myself as absolute, I am seeking. But if I am absolute, why am I seeking? That's what we are asking. That's what I am asking. If when you are absolute, how come you are seeking? That means seeking is not you. Even the very seeking is a notion, is a wrong notion, not you. In the absolute, there can't be seeking. So you are in the seeking. Therefore, you are in the seeking. Therefore, you are missing the absolute. Therefore, there is a seeking. When you are missing absolute, you are not aware of your absoluteness. That means you are in a notion where you see that you are not absolute. So, I am not absolute is a notion, is interfering. A wrong notion, false notion. That's why we say it is Adhyasa. A falsely imposed. But during the imposition, it looks real. That's a very wonder. So, in that, when you are in that false notion, you think that you are missing the absolute. Why? Because of that notion alone, the notion is denying you the absoluteness. The notion is interfering. Because the very notion is a wrong notion. If it were right notion, you won't miss the absolute. The notion is contrary to your absolute nature. The notion is denying it, covering it up, interfering. It's a wrong notion. Wrong notion doesn't touch the really absolute. It doesn't touch it. But I am in that notion. I happen to be in that notion. That's what is avidya. Avidya means you find instinctively in a notion. I don't know why and how. But that's even the question of why and how comes only when you are in the notion. I am in that notion. Now I have to verify how far this notion is correct. On verification, you find notion is wrong and you are absolute. This is what it is. Therefore, tathapi etad yathatmya apratibodat atma sadvitiyaha samsari iva. As if Atma is sadvitiya, dual. Dual means what? See, Dvaitam, Atma looks like dual. Looking dual means what? Dual means relative. Relative means what? You are limited. When you are limited, there is something other than me outside me. That is called Advaitam. Dvaitam means there is something other than me. How can there be something other than you? When I am limited, then what remains is other than me. If I am all pervasive, then nothing remains. If I am absolute, nothing is outside me, then that is not duality. So the duality is a notion. Sadvitiyaha samsari iva, as if I am Sadvitiya. Sadvitiya means I am dual. I am dual means I am limited and there is something other than me. And Satya Jnanananda Rupam, then absolute, when I take myself to be limited, the absolute looks as something other than me. Something away from me, I have to search for it. I have to find it. I have to find the absolute. This is a wrong notion. But within the wrong notion, it appears that absolute is not known to you and you have to work for it. Therefore, this Brahma Jignasa is within Adhyasa. Within avidya, you have a, that means within that wrong notion, you have an idea that you are seeking. You have to find out absolute. And once you understand, the seeking is wrong. Now you are not fulfilling your seeking because you don't find absolute. You will not find absolute. Finding in the sense, you won't come to acquire absolute. Absolute is yourself. Therefore, you come to understand very seeking is wrong. Because you don't discover absolute. You understand seeking is wrong. Because my very existence doesn't have any limitation. My existence doesn't have a limitation. That means limitation is not me. My existence is automatically absolute. My existence is automatically absolute. So this discovery that my seeking is not true to my real nature, and I seek because I am an individual. My individuality is a wrong notion. It is an adhyasa. That I am an individual, that I am a limited being is a wrong notion. More you understand, more it disappears and you stand as non-dual, absolute. Okay, Vedanta Vakyajanya Jnanena Aprabhu. So by Vedanta Vichara. Vichara means what? Vedanta sentences or Guru helps you to turn your attention in such a way that your notion is disproven as a wrong notion. The notion you have about yourself. And because of that notion, you see that there is a world and you are an limited individual and there is a world. All this notion put together as one notion, the entire state. This notion you have to verify. How can you verify? Because you stand absolute. You are the absolute. In the light of your absolute, you verify this notion. You understand your notion is getting wrong. As you understand the notion is wrong, you are not the notion, you are outside that notion. You come out of that notion. That means notion is not you. Because you are absolute and the notion is not absolute like you. Then the notion is false. Notion becomes false and you are not the notion, you are the absolute existence. So this is what is vichara. Okay. Atovat Vedanta Vakyajanya Jnanena Apratibodha. Now when the ignorance is corrected, that means ignorance is a standpoint, a wrong standpoint. It is something like in the worldly one. He is at one place and you are looking from another angle. An angle where he won't be visible. You are looking from a wrong angle where, on account of which angle, on account of which you won't be able to see yourself. Or you won't be able to see something, by yourself something. So here also, you took a wrong stand to look at yourself. What is the right stand? You stand as yourself, that is the only right. And he says, I stand as somebody other than myself. From that somebody, I try to look at myself. I say, I am missing. Because you take yourself to be somebody else other than you, that is body, mind and sense organs. It is a sadhana stage, we take it like this, but in absolute sense, all that becomes one alone. So in vichara stage, we divide like this tentatively divide. Okay. Therefore, when you are in the wrong notion, that wrong notion makes you see that you are not the absolute. And absolute is still yet to be found. It is somewhere else, away from me. Now what Vedanta does is, absolute cannot be away from you. It is not away from you, it cannot be away from you. Therefore, your thought that you are limited and not absolute itself is wrong. It is disproven as a wrong notion. Okay? Therefore, Advaita Atmane Advitiyam Brahmeti Jnayate Ato Atra Atmanaha Eva Brahmaswarupata Pratipattaye Shriti Bodhitam Brahmaswarupam Ajnatam Jignasyate. Therefore, in a given specific condition, a wrong notion, within that specific condition, Brahma Jignasa is applicable. Not in your absolute nature. Absolute nature means after you discover to be absolute, then Jignasa has no place. Then if you think that I am not absolute, I am somebody else, from that somebody else I have to go to the absolute. In this false notion, within this false notion, Jignasa is possible to be able to correct the very wrong notion. See, it's how interesting it is. So within the wrong notion, Jignasa is possible. Therefore, within that wrong notion, Upanishad says, Athato Brahma Jignasa, you have to seek, you have to search for. Okay? Ajnatam Jignasyate iti nakinchi. Therefore, this Jignasa is within avidya, is a tentative state, it is not the reality. Jignasa is not a reality. Seeking is not a reality. It is within your avidya, you are trying to seek. Okay. Now the last one, Sureshwaracharya's quotations are there, very interesting. I think in a way I have told all these things. Today's class I have covered only these shlokas. I have to just read out and repeat the word meaning, because the Vedantic meaning I have explained. Brahmata natmano anyatra. See, Brahmata can't be Brahman. Brahmatvam means absoluteness. Brahmatvam can't be outside the Atma. There can't be Brahmatvam outside Atma. That means Brahmatvam can be only Atma only. In the Atma alone there can be Brahmatvam. So Brahmano Anyataha. Brahmata Natmano Anyatra, Natmata Brahmano Anyataha. So Atma cannot be without Atma Atma cannot be non-absolute. That means Atma can't be non-absolute, and absolute can't be without being myself, without being my Atma. That is myself. There can't be absolute other than me, apart from me, and I can't be anything but absolute. Atma cannot be anything except absolute. That means Atma cannot be limited. Atma limited itself is a contradiction. Limited means what? What goes away, what leaves you is limited. Atma cannot leave you. It is always there. That means Atma can only be absolute, and it can't be limited by time and place and condition. Atma is not a given experience which comes at a time and after time goes away. It is such an experience which neither newly arrives nor you can get rid of it. Atma is such an experience within you. Within you, you have different experiences. But there is one experience underlying all your experiences. It neither newly begins nor it comes to an end. That is your Atma. That is yourself. Okay. Therefore, these things what I have already told, Sureshwara is telling. So, Atma api, okay. Tadyathatmya prabodhattu tayoresha viparyayaha. So due to not knowing is a tentative condition. You are in that condition. From that condition you look at Atma, it looks that Brahma is something other than me. Okay. Prabodhattu tayoresha viparyayaha Atma api sakshat Brahma. This I have already discussed. Atma is directly Brahman, that is absolute. Absolute is Atma, Atma is absolute. Absolute can't be away from me. Leaving myself, there can't be absolute. And Atma also cannot be anything other than absolute. Atma cannot be anything other than absolute. Absolute cannot be other than me, apart from me. That means Atma is absolute, absolute is Atma, Ham Brahmasmi. Brahmaiva Tadvad Atma. Each shloka is beautiful, but I have generally discussed in today's class. It is enough, I think. We can do manana each sentence again and again. The same thing comes. I only give a different example and talk of it. So what I have talked today is a summary of Sureshwara's words. Sat aprakshite vakyota samyak vijnana pradvasta tamaso yatehe. Therefore, as a result of teaching means what? Teaching makes you observe. Teaching pushes you into vichara. Teaching encourages you vichara. Teaching makes you do vichara. Teaching means making you to vichara. If we don't inspire you to do vichara, then it is not a teaching. Teaching is not informing you. Teaching is making you to observe and discover. Observe and discover. That's all. What you discover, you are that. You become that. Vedantic discovery can't be separated. In Vedantic vichara, what you do vichara is Atma, and one who does is Atma, that means you are already Atma. Okay. Vibhaga heto chitte sarvamatmaiva shishyate. When this duality is negated as a false, then what remains is negated means what? It doesn't exist. Once you negate its existence, then that also merges back into Advaita Atma. Then everything is only non-dual Atma. Okay, so Brihadaranyaka Upanishad Vakyam, Brihadaranyaka Vartika Vakyam is over. Ataha Shruti Shrutyaksharanugunameva Prakriya Rachana Bhashya. Therefore, Sutra is telling rightly. So, it is teaching Brahma Jignasa and it is teaching Brahman as absolute. No contradiction between Jignasa and Brahman being absolute. Because I am trying to understand myself as an absolute. Not trying to understand Brahman which is other than me. I am not trying to understand Brahman which is other than me. I am only trying to discover myself as absolute. Myself is without limitation. I am trying to discover myself who is not without any limitation. That means he is free from any limitation. I am trying to discover myself who is free from all limitations. I am limitless. If you can discover, then you have become Brahman. Becoming means, that's a figurative way of telling there is no becoming in fact. That means you are Brahman. Okay. Then another paragraph is there. Next question comes, Brahmanaha eva tarhiyam avidya. Then okay. Now first I just say this and leave it for today's class. One sentence for you to think. Okay, first he told Brahma Jignasa, the very seeking is impossible. If I am Brahman, I am the Advitiya Brahman, seeking is impossible. He told seeking is possible only when you think you are not Brahman, and to correct that very thinking that you are not Brahman. Your very wrong thinking that I am not Brahman, to correct that Vedanta Vichara is required. Then you discover that you are Brahman. Even before I was Brahman, even before when I thought that I was not Brahman, I was Brahman. See, even before when I thought that I was not Brahman, also Brahman alone. I am Brahman even of that. Okay. So this is over. This is a question regarding Jignasa. Vedanta, Purapakshi told, if there is a Jignasa, the Brahman has to be separate from me. Vedantin proved that there is a Jignasa and Brahman is myself. Even in myself also, Advaitam also, there is Jignasa from the standpoint of avidya. Now he says, Brahmanaha eva tarhi avidya ityapa. Then if that is the case, if Jignasa is in Atma alone and Atma is Advaitam Brahma, then that I don't know myself, this avidya is also Brahman only. Then avidya is sticking to Brahman. Avidya belongs to Brahman. This is the Purapaksh's objection. If you say there is only Atma, there is only one Brahman, then at the same time you say I don't know Brahman, that means this I don't know is a state of ignorance. That ignorance belongs to Brahman only. This is the question. Answer how he beautifully gives. Regarding avidya, I think one paragraph, big paragraph, there is a discussion about avidya. No, Allah. Avirupini bhavita bhimata vakyartha jnana rupa chetu brahmanaha. That's the next. Two questions he is putting. Whom does avidya belong? Second is, does jnani see dvaitam or not? I think only these two questions. If we answer these two questions, Sugama is over. Only last two questions. To whom does avidya belong? And does jnani see dvaitam or the world? Otherwise, then how does he teach? If he doesn't see the disciple, if he doesn't see disciple as somebody other than me, you cannot see. Then if disciple is also myself, then there is no teaching possible. Therefore, does jnani see dvaitam or not? Then, to whom does avidya belong? These two questions remain. This is Swamiji, I don't know, kept these two as a last one. Because in Vedanta there is no first and last. Because you can't put a beginning of Vedanta and end of Vedanta. Because everything is everything. But anyway, if we shall answer these two questions. Maybe, I don't know how many classes I'll take. Whatever number of classes, with that it is over. I think we have got at least 1 week, 7 or 8 days. So I'll try to finish within 7 or 8. Let me see what date is today. Is 19th and 20. Oh, 9, I think 19, 20, 21, 22. I think around 9 days. Today 1 day is over anyway. 9 days. We'll hope to finish in 9 days. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Even if I am not finished, it doesn't matter. I'll continue wherever I go. Another 2 or 3 classes will finish. The thing is, we will not do injustice to the topic. We will sufficiently, elaborately, clearly explain, because that is important. Not how many classes. The clarity, clear understanding. You may take 1 more class, 2 more classes, but it has to be very clear. I think in around 10-12 classes we'll finish it. Okay, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.